Creating community. Today we're going to be looking at a bit of writing from Paul in Romans chapter 12 and having a look at what it means to be a part of community. If you look behind me on the stage, I've got a couple of props up here. Alpha. Has anyone, Alpha, who's the Alpha people? Been Alpha, done Alpha? Yeah, a couple of you. Church camp, has anyone got their stuff on here? Like you drew some of the stuff? Yeah. Azalia walked in, my daughter, and she looked up there and went, ran up to it and she's like, there I am. Saw her name on that. You can't see it probably if you're over at the back, but over here I've got some these are music and movement props here. If you've ever been on a Wednesday, we get to use these and jump around and have a lot of fun. And finally, do we have any badminton people in the house? Yeah. Wednesdays, it goes off at badminton. These are places around our church where we get to experience a little bit of community. Community is one of those words which it means basically what you make it to mean. Community is something that can be really deep and enriching. It can be something that can be quite shallow, and in some places, community can be something which has been harmful in the past. And today, I want to have a look at this idea of creating community and how we are better together. And we're going to get some help from Paul, and also have a look at some practical ways around Les Moody Baptist Church that we do community and that we experience community here. So to start us off, I just want to ask a simple question. Does anyone resonate with this idea that hanging out with people is good? Community, getting to be around other people is good. Life is better, you're stronger, everything seems to be in more working order. But it's hard over time to remain connected to meaningful community. Does anyone resonate a little bit with that? I want to walk us through from when we were young, when community was probably a little bit easier for many of us, and have a look at how we can build meaningful community today. So growing up, making friends was a little bit simpler. I won't say it was always easier, but it was definitely simpler. Making friends when you were growing up was as simple as running up to a kid on the playground. Hey, do you want to play chasey? And they either said yes or no, and you didn't get offended with what they said. You're a kid, you were carefree. Or maybe you ran up to someone and you said, that's a cool bike, can I have a ride? I mean, it's beautiful with children how they just walk up and they're just able to go, hey, maybe I could have a turn at your bike. There's a boy that we go for rides around our neighbourhood, and there's a little boy that joins us. He just becomes part of our gang as we ride around. And every now and then I look up and Ezra, my number 2, he's up there and I'm looking at him, I'm like, that's not his bike. He's swapped with the other kid. And they've done it about 5 times now. They take about 10 metres and they both look and go, this bike's terrible, swap back. And they keep doing it. I don't know when they'll learn. It's going to be the same experience every time they jump on the other person's bike. Or maybe growing up, if you're into collecting things, it was as simple as going up to someone, hey, do you want to see my Pokemon collection? That was, for me, growing up, that was the big thing. And you could take them to school, then the school banned them, and it was like, oh no, and I lost my Blastoise. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Which is a cool Pokemon. And was my best card, until I got tricked into giving it up for a Pikachu. Stupid. Anyway. Then you go to school when you're a little bit older. 30 hours a week of enforced community. It's pretty good. 30 hours a week. At the time, you're sitting there going, oh, why do I have to go to school? Then you get out of school and you look at people in school, you're like, you don't get it. 30 hours of structured time with people in your age range. And there's 1 to 2 teachers who get to operate as mum and dad while you're off learning. And community is just sort of built into that space, the good, the bad, and everything. Eventually, your community expands into interests as you grow up. You start to get into a sport or an artistic pursuit or an instrument, and then you get the weekly rhythms of trainings and practices. Eventually, there's weekend games and performances or exhibits. There's a rhythm and flow to everything that happens. And eventually, you become a teenager. You get to the end of your schooling career, and you have a decision to make, some choices to make that expands what community looks like. You have to start to think to yourself, are you going to go straight to work? Are you going to go to uni? Are you going to go to uni and then change your degree after a semester? Because when you thought actuarial sciences sounded cool, and then you realise, it's just spreadsheets and formulas and calculating the probability of people dying. And you go, that's not for me, because you're young and you think certain things. Or maybe you take a gap year, which for some of you is yes, a gap year. Some of you are like, you don't take a gap year. People who grew up with the free education realm, 1974 to 1989, when we mention gap year, generally people in that age range are like, no, you just go to uni and get it over with. and everyone who has to pay, HECS and help and everything, go, I'm not going to spend a year and 10 grand of my life discovering I don't know what I want to do. So sometimes it's taking a year to go and work or travel or do something is a really good idea. And then you go into the workplace, into the study world, and then all of a sudden community opens up wider again. You're no longer forced to spend 30 hours a week with peers in your age range under the rule of an authoritarian teacher. You now work with people from other cultures and other ages. Connecting with them takes a bit more creativity and understanding. And funnily enough, when you get to university, your lecturer doesn't care as much if you rock up to class. And it's fascinating. You go to uni, if you've been there before, there's always that mature age person who's like telling their life story, and you're like, just get on with the class. And then you sleep in and you realize there's consequences, and the world starts to shift and change. And those markers of community that were so simple, so enforced, so structured around you, they move. And what was so simple, from simply talking to a child on the playground, to being forced to being with other kids for 30 hours a week, to having hobbies and things which you would do together, suddenly you're out as an adult and you realize community takes work. And it's hard. And you're no longer the receiver of everyone making you be friends and hang out with people. You now have to be the person that starts to be proactive in making it happen. So then you start to look, well, where do I find community? And for many of us, we find it in a few places. Sports clubs, art classes, religion, volunteering, community group. And some of us did really, really well at shifting from childhood community into adulthood community. And it was almost a bit like you just sort of continued being who you were and you found a place to belong. But for others of us, it's been a little bit more difficult. It's been a bit more of a harder journey to navigate. Questions around, well, where do I fit in, start to emerge. Or maybe there's questions around, is there anyone who will even like me or accept me as I am? Perhaps the reason you're in church is because this has been a community, either in the past or currently, where you have found a place to belong. And maybe you're sitting here today and going, well, I want church to be part of my community, but I'm not always sure how to make that happen. And then as a church, we need to be asking the question, well, what does it mean to be a community? How do we structure ourselves? How do we belong to each other? So I want to take a couple of ideas around community that come to us from a guy called St. Paul. He was a Jesus follower. He started off his career trying to destroy the church. Then he became a fanboy and started trying to promote the church. It's a great story. You can read it in the book of Acts. But let's just hear a little bit about what Paul says when Romans chapter 12, otherwise it's going to be up on the screen in a minute. So he wrote this book called Romans around about 57 AD CE from a place called Corinth. Now Corinth was a really cool port in the Greek location. It's about 13,500 kilometres northwest of Perth. So if you want to go, it's up there somewhere. And Paul shares a few things and thoughts around community and how we be community together. So it'll be up on the screen. This is what it says. It says, for by the grace given me, I say to every one of you. So he's saying to every one of you, meaning everyone who's within the church. Do not think more highly of yourselves than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment in accordance with the faith God has distributed to each of you. It's a great place to start. I mean, don't we all want to be part of a community where everyone thinks of themselves as they should? No one wants to go to a place where everyone's got big puffy chests and thinks they're the bee's knees. We want to be part of a place where people think appropriately of who they are. So don't think of yourself more highly. Be people who are humble, who think of ourselves with sober judgment. He goes on and says, for just as each of you, again talking to everyone who is in the church, has one body with many members, and these members do not have all the same function. So you're one body with many body parts, and they don't all do the same thing, obviously. So in Christ, we, though many, form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. So Paul takes a very simple image and says, hey, you've all got a physical body, and your body has parts that do different things. Your eyes can see, your hands can touch, your feet can walk, your lungs breathe, your heart beats. Your body exists to work. And he says, so it is with the people who gather together. People who say, I follow Jesus. You get to exist together so that this can work. He goes on and says, how do we do this? Well, he says, we all have different gifts. We all have different ways we can contribute to being part of the body. according to what we've been given. If your gift is prophesying or serving or teaching or encouraging or giving or leading or showing mercy, he says, do those things well. The way it says it in the verse, it says, if you've got the gift of prophesying, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. If it's serving, then serve. If it's teaching, then teach. If it's to encourage, then give encouragement. If it's to give generously, if it's giving, give generously. If it's to lead, do it diligently. And if it's mercy, do it cheerfully. So he gets to say, hey, everyone's got a part to play. Everyone has something to bring so that we can be the body together. And again, this is for the people inside of the church, saying, hey, if you follow Jesus, you contribute to community. You have something to give to this community. And he goes on to say, love must be sincere, which is good. No one wants to have insincere love. He says, hate what is evil, cling to what is good, and be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves, never be lacking in zeal, and keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. He says, be joyful in hope, be patient in affliction, be faithful in prayer. Share with the Lord's people who are in need, practice hospitality. Bless those who persecute you, and bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn, live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to be associated with people of low position. Do not be conceited. This sounds like a picture of what a really good community should be like. It's a picture of what people who operate together and get to experience life together should be like. This last part here, talking about blessing those who persecute you, that sounds like a healthy community that is able to love back even when love is not extended to them. Rejoicing with people who rejoice and mourning with those who mourn sounds like a great community, because whether you're on the highs or the lows, there's people around you who are willing to be with you. If you want to contrast that, communities where you're at a low and they just want to pull you up, those aren't always the most helpful or healthy places to be. And places when you're doing well and they want to drag you down to their level of unhappiness, they're not great places to be also. This sounds like an emotionally well-rounded, mature community that's able to be present with one another regardless of what is happening around them. Living in harmony, not being proud, but being willing to associate with whoever it is. Which for then was a very big deal. When Paul was writing this, there was definitely more of the social hierarchy ideal, but it still sneaks into us here in Australia in the 21st century. Sometimes we don't want to associate with people. Maybe it's not because of lowly position, but maybe it's because we don't believe that they do things the way that we want to do them. And we feel, I've got a bit more of moral authority or integrity than that other person. And Paul's saying, no, we got to be willing to hang out with everyone. It just sounds like good community. Here's the 6 things we see that out of what we just read. We see that this community that Paul is talking about, these people who belong to the way of Jesus, they are people who don't think more highly of themselves than they should, who are interconnected as one body bringing our gifts, who love one another well, who practice hospitality, and who are kind to those who are outside our community and those who are inside our community. Now, growing up, some of you got to experience this. Perhaps the school you were in, or the church you went to, or the club you were a part of, or your family unit. You got to see this in action. For some of you, you look at that and you go, that sounds like good community, but that sounds like how every community should be. Isn't that just sort of how people should be operating? Shouldn't we be that way? Because some of you had it modeled for you. You had people in your life who showed you this is what it means to exist with one another, to share, to know each other. But that's not everybody's experience. Some of you, when you were growing up, you were hurt by selfish people because they did not want to engage in this sort of community. Maybe due to factors within their own life, they didn't want to be people who were outwardly loving and kind, but instead wanted to bring people down to their level. Or perhaps in your family unit, you had things that just were not functioning well. So the idea of being connected and having support and community and offering up gifts that you're able to share with other people, maybe that was looked down on or not something that was explored or encouraged as you were growing up. And Paul is encouraging everyone who's in the church. If your experience has been positive, he's saying, keep going. But if your experience has been one like, that's not how I grew up, that's not the community I had, that's not who I saw in my world, Paul is encouraging everyone, this is who we are going to become. We are going to become these type of people. It might be part of your story that is not what you got to experience growing up, but it's something that you need to experience and that you get to contribute to experiencing as you go on living. Paul is rallying the Jesus followers 2,000 years ago to show them this is how it is that we're meant to live. And let's not kid ourselves. The people he was writing to at the time, they did not do this perfectly. Sometimes you can read it and say, look at what Paul's saying. They must have been nailing it. No. He was writing it to encourage, to remind, to just get them going in the right direction. So 2,000 years ago when Paul was writing this, outlining this is what love looks like, this is what it means to be part of community, he's trying to encourage everyone and get them going that way. And now 2,000 years later, as we read it here today, it's an encouragement for us, for me, for you, for all of us, that when we get to participate in community, get to be part of the church, this is what it looks like. Which means, very quickly, when you've been part of churches that have not exhibited this type of living, they are a community, there is no doubt. But maybe they were a broken community. Perhaps you've been here at this church and you think to yourself, we don't hit all of that. It's true. Some of you sit here and you go, yeah, I've seen some of that here at LBC. And for some of you sit there and go, I've not always experienced that. Because community is tricky. It's relational. It's dynamic. And we all come with our different backgrounds, experiences, our different expectations of what church is and what church isn't. And we come into this place and we all put it into this big pot of this is us as a church, and we mix it around. And for some of us, we go, yeah, this has been life-giving. And for some of us, maybe for a bad interaction or something goes wrong, we go, this is not what I want it to be. So this idea of community being these things is something that Paul is encouraging everyone. This is what we strive for. This is what we move towards. This is how we're meant to live. In Christian community, in Jesus-following community, the church, not just this one, every church is designed to become humble, connected, generous, loving, kind, and compassionate. That's what it means to be part of Christian community. So very practically, the way that we exercise community here at LBC is sort of through 5 main ways. And chuck it up and let's see what it looks like on there. Liam? Okay, cool. So that's how I've got a table and that's how I wrote it up. Awesome. So there's 5 spaces at LBC where we get to experience community, where we try to take what Paul is teaching us to be places where everyone can participate, where there's love, where there's hospitality, where we get to be enjoying each other's company, all those good things. There's 5 ways or 5 spaces here at LBC that we try to do that. One is our programs. That's just sort of the rhythmic community, week to week, term to term. Think about church. Church happens every Sunday. Music and movement is a community as well, fortnightly on Wednesdays. Midweek escape is a community that happens every week on a Wednesday. Youth group is a community every Friday night, making community for young people. These are organised touch points for regular participation. That's just what we do. We have programs. Then you have social. This is extending friendship. This is something which we don't do anything about. We just let people do what they need to do. Social is all about people getting to know each other outside of the programs and choosing to hang out with other people at other times. Because you meet someone at music and movement, I'm going to connect with them during the week. You talk to someone on a Sunday morning, you think to yourself, let's catch up for a dinner. Like, social is just something that exists throughout everything that we do. When people form a relationship and then they want to meet up at other times. Some people, when you're extroverted, you look for that. For other people, you're like, no, I'm happy in the program and getting to know each other in that space. No right or wrong, it's just something that happens. Events are another way that we see community happen. Alpha, for 8 weeks, becomes its own little community. Church camp, see the banner there, that became a little community for a weekend, and we're looking forward to that again next year. We have stages of life workshops. We've done like parenting things, end of life stuff. Marriage stuff in the past as well. Men's and women's events. We've got the men's breakfast, that's community. The women's event, that's community. These are infrequent touch points that happen around a particular focus. And then you have serving. You can serve in Sundays, programs, events, community, leadership. There's different ways you can serve within LBC. When you serve, that's also being part of community, to join in and help make community happen. And then finally, and where I want to land us today, is groups. Groups are intimate spaces to share, to be real, and to grow. Or as it says up there, show up, be real, and join in. There's sort of three types of groups that we have. There's life groups that are weekly or fortnightly gatherings that happen. There's pop-up groups that happen from time to time. At the moment, I think Ruth is about to conclude the Emotionally Healthy Women's pop-up group. And then also there's a couple of social groups. There's like a Thursday men's coffee, a Friday women's coffee that happens as well. Groups are the space where you get to hang out, where you get to go that little bit further than on a Sunday. Sunday mornings happens here, and at the moment we're all in rows. Why are we in rows? It's just practical to fit us in. But groups and those social times, those are opportunities to get into circles and to get to face each other, to talk to one another, to listen to one another, to hear how we are going. Groups are an opportunity to be able to be known for who you truly are and to support one another through the ups and downs of your life experiences. Faith is meant to be lived in community. And groups, I believe, are a place where that happens really, really well. But if we're being honest, the biggest thing that stops us from being able to participate in any type of group, for some of you, it's just a life stage or a busy season at the moment where you go to yourself, I just can't make time for that. For some of you, it's it sounds like a good idea, but will I, won't I? The biggest thing that will decide whether you get into a group or not get into a group is one simple word, and it's your calendar. Hands up, those of you who are diligent calendarers. Can we? Who? Come on, I know you're out there. You guys, you already know in 4 months' time what you're doing because it's outlined, right? It's in the family calendar. It's on the thing. You've written it out. Where are my homies? My people who are like, calendar is like, it's somewhere. It's happening. Anyone of you who are like, yeah. Sometimes you wake up and then all of a sudden, I'm driving somewhere and I get a message like, are you here yet? I'm like, it wasn't in the calendar. How did that not get in the calendar? Happened to me with Shirley during the week. Sorry, Shirley. I got there 10 minutes late. Calendars. Time. Where you put your time is the biggest thing that will make or break your ability to be able to participate in anything. So what we've got today is as you walk out those walls, maybe some of you said, that looks like a calendar. Some of you went, what's that stuff on the wall? On the wall out there is a big giant calendar. And on there it has some life group times that have space and want to welcome people to come and try and be part of their community. So what we're going to do you want to put up the QR code for me, Liam? If you want to know more about joining a life group, this is not a commitment to join one. This is just, hey, I want to have a chat about it. There's a couple of ways you can do it. One is there's a QR code here that you can use, and there's a QR code out there as well that you can use. That is just a simple way to say, I'm interested in knowing more about joining a group. It's not a commitment to join a group. All it does is ask, what's our best way to contact you? Do we phone you? Do we email you? Do we text you? What's the best way we can get in contact with you to talk about, is joining a group the right thing for you to do? On the calendar there and on the thing, it has a list of the different groups that we have that are saying, hey, come and hang out with us. We'd love for you to come and join. And we can have a chat about whether that might be a good space. Out there, you'll see them out there, what time they're on. You can go, yeah, I would like to be a part of that. Now, if you don't want to use the QR code, there's just physical forms to fill in down there. And this will be up for a couple of weeks, so you'll be able to join across the next few weeks. But there's the form out there. You can fill it in. There's a little basket. You just fold it in half and put it into the basket. Don't worry, no one's going to run up there and steal the basket. But that's there for you to be able to use as well. And all it is to have a conversation around, is groups a place where you want to get connected? Is groups a place where you want to be a part of? It's hard to grow spiritually. It's hard to grow your trust in Jesus if you're not connected with other people in a meaningful way, in a relationship-based way. Groups are an opportunity to be able to come alongside one another, to share your life with them, and to be encouraged to get to know each other and encourage one another. So, what I want you to do today is think about, if you're already in a group, what I'd love you to do today is just be able to promote your group like crazy. If there's someone you know who's not in a group and you're like, hey, I want you to come be part of what we're doing, go and tell them about what you get up to. But if you're not in a group and you'd like to consider that then use the QR code, fill that in, and we'd love to just have a chat about what that could possibly look like. Some groups meet weekly, some meet fortnightly, some have a meal, some don't, some are in person, some are on Zoom. There's many different ways that community happens, and it depends on who they are and the life stage that they're in and everything like that. So to finish off, I just want to read the last words of what Paul wrote there. Paul wrote, "Bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Don't be proud, but be willing to associate with everybody. Do not be conceited." My hope and my prayer for you is that you find your people to do faith journeys with. That you find people that you can read the Bible with. That you find people that you can pray with. That you find people that you can enjoy the highlights and support each other through the lowlights. I want you to find your people. And I pray that your faith will grow as a result. Let me pray and then we'll finish off. Father God, thank you so much that you give us community. I just want to pray right now for those who are considering taking a step towards joining a group, that you will just be able to make the time on their calendar line up, and that you'll be able to give us the ability to put that into place so that we can find other people to journey with. I pray for strength. I pray for openness. I pray for vulnerability. I pray for the willingness for us as individuals to participate in the type of community that you want us to be. As a church here at Lismore Baptist Church, but also as the wider church, the sort of community that you want to see popping up all over our world, where people are loved, cared for, and they find their peace in you. In your name and for your glory. Amen.